Hello, hello, Whimsy friends. It has been a while since I have been here live with you, and I am excited to be back. So, here at Whimsy, we are full on into our summer crafting. And first of all, here in June, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the movie Jaws. So you're going to see several shark-themed projects coming your way here in the next week or so. And here is my first take on a shark themed card. So every now and then I like to just pick one product and kind of put it through its paces and see how many ideas I can come up with to use it. So I'm right now taking a look at the Polaroid die, and for my first project using the Polaroid die, I thought it would be fun to create just some summer vacation photos and create a card out of it and tie in the shark theme as well. Now, of course, this is an idea that you could use with all kinds of stamps and dies. You wouldn't have to go shark theme, or you could actually take your own personal photographs and create a card for someone. So I thought we would use the Polaroid die first of all, and I'm pairing that with the Snark Attack stamp set, the Build an Ocean die set. I'm going to pull in the Making Waves stencil, and for my background I'm using the Under the Sea slimline paper pad. Now, the final thing I'll be using is the Whimsy No Fuss masking sheets. So if you do like masking and you have trouble sometimes getting a hold of masking paper, Whimsy's No Fuss masking paper is a great low tack. It doesn't tear your paper when you try to move it around, and I find it great to work with. So that is something you may not realize that Whimsy has available, but it's a great product. Alright, so those are all the products that I'm using for this card. The only other thing I've pulled in is a couple layers of blue cardstock, and you need one cut 4 by 9. The next layer will just be a 1/4 inch smaller so that you have a nice 1/8 of an inch outline. And then I have picked a up and down piece of the paper from the Under the Sea paper collection, and there's several in there, but I really liked the bright colors that's on this one, as well as I thought it complemented my Build an Ocean dies really well. So here are what I've cut out of using the Build the Ocean. I wanted to have at least 2 pieces in each of my colors, so I cut a couple yellow, a couple hot pink, and then a couple of the lime green. So there are my pieces that we're going to work with. And then the last thing, which it's the last thing I cut, but it's going to be the first thing that we work with. I'll slide these pieces aside. This is just a piece of white hammermill cardstock that I'm going to use with my Polaroid die that I went ahead and collected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my Polaroid piece right on top here, and then I'm going to take a pencil and just lightly trace the inner squares. And this will just be so I know where I need to stamp my photographs, or what's going to be the insides of my photographs. So now that I've done that, I can go ahead and lay this piece aside. But you can see here on my card, I just did it real faintly. It's just so I can see it. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp some images. Ooh, let me see here. We're going to do that with a Copic friendly ink because I am going to be inking this. Alright, so to create my scenes, I'm just going to go here to the Snark Attack set. Here, let me set that here on the white so you'll be able to see. And I'm going to start off with the little lady floating in the inner tube. her right in there at an angle. And there's, of course, no right or wrong in building your little scenes and your photographs, just whatever you like. One of them that might be fun is this little hand right here of someone like reaching up out of the water, like, help! But I'm going to go ahead and stick to the ones that I did before. Let's get a little more ink on there. Okay, I might have to fill that ink pad. There we go. Okay. And for my last one, I'm going to do this fun shark. And he's going to be right there in the center. All right, so all we've done so far, if you're just joining me, is to trace the insides of our Polaroid and to stamp some images inside. So on a couple of these, I am going to stamp some shark fins, but we're going to do that after we stencil. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of Copic coloring on our images that we just stamped. And I'm not going to get super fancy with these. They're fairly small images. Excuse me. So, wrong end. I'm just going to start here with our lady in the inner tube and give her a bit of a suntan. Coloring her skin. Oh, you guys, I pulled two E53s. I wanted one of those to be E51, and now I'm just going to finish coloring her in. Her skin. Now, in my original, I did color her a little more fancy, and I colored him with a paler color and kind of gave him a sunburn on his knees and on his nose and shoulders. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and give him the same tan that our lady has. Maybe color his nose a little darker. And maybe just here on his knees. Seems like my husband always gets tan on his shoulders, his nose, and his kneecaps. So that's kind of where I put the darker color for my man floating here. And now let's go ahead and move on to our girl's hair. I'm just going to give her some highlights in her hair here. And we're going to make her blonde. Mostly because it'll show up best on my water background. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and give her a yellow inner tube while I'm at it. Going to use the RV04 here and give her a hot pink bathing suit under there. And the last thing for her is this coconut drink that she's holding in her hands. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our shark. And for our shark, I'm going to give him a nice red mouth. Trying not to get his teeth. And now I'm going to use the C gray family. I'm going to start with the C5. I'm going to go the C3. And we'll just add a little bit of that C3 onto this part of his face, maybe right up in here as well. And what's this? Is that the C2? And there's the C2. And for his, whoops, wrong end, I'll go ahead and do his nose and the C1. All right, that takes care of our shark, and now we'll just finish off our floating man down here. And I forgot to color his belly. I'm gonna give him some blue shorts. And you know what? It looks like my marker has dried out, so we're just gonna grab a different blue. Let's see, maybe a 24 that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. And I'm not going to do a lot of shading on his shorts. This card has a lot going on, so we're just going to color those straight. I am going to go back, though, and grab that E53 to give my fella a nice sunburned belly. And for him, I'm going to give him a red inner tube. And for his hat, I'm going to make it orange. Now, in a couple places on my images here, you can see through to the water, so I'm just adding a little bit of the blue to fill that in. All right, so now that I have my images colored, the next thing that I need to do is to go ahead and mask those off. So let me grab my masks, and I have gone ahead. I'm going to use the same ones that I made before. Excuse me. Whenever I use masks, I like to stick them on the back of the packaging, and I use them over and over until I feel like they're not sticking and I need to remake them. So we're just going to go ahead and press these all in place. So one thing that is kicking off today is the Scrapbooking Fun Summit. So if you have not signed up for that, it is a free event. It has, I believe, 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of classes and just all kinds of different things. There's a lot. There's both card making and scrapbooking, some album making classes, and some Q&As, and there's also lots of free gifts. So Whimsy Stamps is a sponsor of that, and it did start today. And you can sign up through that through Whimsy Stamps. So that's something you might want to check out if you're home crafting this weekend. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab a, whoops, almost knocked my blending brushes off the back of my table over here. And I'm just grabbing my gel mat here because we're going to do some stenciling now. All right. So I am using the Making Waves stencil. And I'm going to use two colors. I'm using an oxide in the peacock feather, but before I do the waves, I'm going to add a little bit of this pale blue dye ink. And let's see here, I have a tap off over here, and I'm just gonna do all over my whole square. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, not sure how much you can see that. I can see it. I am going to go just a little darker over here. There we go. Got some. I worry about going too hard or too dark and realize I'm not going enough, so I gotta increase the pressure a little more. There we go. All right, so I'm just adding blue, this light blue color, all around my images, making sure I get that whole square. All right, so the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my waves. And like I said, I can see my square of where I drew my pencil lines. I know it's hard for you to see, but I can see them. So you can see in my picture, I don't want the waves to completely fill it. So I'm going to give a bit of a skyline. I think I'm going to put this one about right there. And I'm just going to fill in those waves. I just want to make sure I get all the way across on her. Okay. Here we go. Now for my shark, I'm going to do a similar bit, kind of like his little fin is coming up out of the top of the wave. So that's about where I'm going to position those. But here, I want his tail to be under the water. There we go. Oops. My stencil to move, although these are waves, so if it does, that's okay. Let's see. There we go. And I'm going to move this down and put just a little more underneath him. Okay. And then for my last one, this fella over here, I'm going to go ahead and let the waves pretty much fill up the whole thing. Adding our waves in there. Just a little more right down in here. All right. Want to make sure I got all of this square. I'm not sure if I did or not. There we go. All right, so there we go. We've got waves. And I'm going to come out with just a little bit more of my light blue and go over it. Make sure, just takes away that bright white in my water. There we go. Making sure, trying to get the whole square. All right. All right, before we do the big reveal, I'm going to set this aside and we are going to add a little bit of ink to our underwater pieces here, our Build an Ocean piece. So I went ahead and I pulled some additional inks, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading here to our die cuts. Well, I'm really just tapping it on more than anything, just to give it some dimension. Whoops. I think that when you do this to your die cuts, it really goes a long way. And my last one here is this nice, fun, hot pink. All right, that didn't take long. It's an easy step, but definitely worthwhile. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside, and we are ready to peel off our masks. So I'm gonna grab this piece of plastic here. Ah, he came out pretty good. Do her next. Oh, she did pretty good too. I was going to show you how I fix it when there, I got a little bit of white showing around him, so I will show you how I fix that. Whenever I come in with just a little bit of marker and I fill that in, and you know, you try to pick a marker that is the same color, but honestly, nobody's going to notice that. You will notice a white streak, but you don't notice a little flick of the Copic coloring. So that's how I fix it if I do get any white going around my images. So, whoa, did you see my camera blur right there? Sorry about that. All right, since I was Copic coloring today, I did lower my camera so it would be a little bit closer to my images. So that may be what's causing that little flutter to happen. All right, so now I am going to put our die back in place. And now we're going to do, we're going to stamp our shark fins and our, whoops, wrong size, and our sentiments. Grab my thing. So on our little girl up here, I'm going to stamp the larger of the two fins. There we go. And one of the reasons I stamped it after I did the ink blending is because the oxide ink will give it kind of a cloudy look. And you can kind of see it here on my original where the well hello there I stamped after I inked, but the Yum Donuts I stamped before. And can you tell how this one is a little gray looking? It's you just get that nice sharp crisp black when you do it after you do your oxide blending. So let's see here for this one. This is our smaller shark fin. Add that right down here. And we'll do the Yum Donut if I can. There it is down there. So this is just a fun little saying when both of our people here are floating in their inner tubes. Our shark is looking for breakfast. All right, so the last one, I'm going to go ahead and stamp well hello there. And I kind of like this up here on this top picture because it's kind of like the sentiment for our whole card. Okay. go ahead and close this. I will have to stamp one more thing, but we'll do that in just a moment. So there's two ways we can do this. We can go ahead and die cut it just like this, and then feed the little squares back into our larger one. Or we can just go ahead and glue this right down on top and then trim off. So I think that's the way we are going to do it today. Either way gives you a very similar look. I'll show you the difference after I get it done. Trying to lay it right back down on my pencil drawing there. It's pretty good. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess. All right, now of course this is your Polaroid die, but since I wanted these stacked the opposite direction, the Polaroid die cuts like a score mark right here. So I am just going to go ahead and cut along that score mark. Well, one of the fun ways to use this Polaroid die is to almost make yourself like a little mini album, because you can also fold along that score mark, which is a fun way to use this product. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that last sentiment right down here. It's going to say, "Jump in, the water is fine." So back in the day, did you have a Polaroid, and did your mom always write along the bottom, like, you know, who was in the photo or where it was taken? We have whole albums of Polaroid pictures that the pictures are mostly faded now, but it still has my mom's writing on the bottom. All right, there we go. We are ready to assemble our card. Set all my pieces aside here and grab my layers. All right, we're ready to put it together. So for these, I am just going to layer those up. I did make this a 4x9 card to give myself a little more room so that my pictures had just more of a background to set on. Leaving it just this width covered up just so much of it. You didn't have much color back there behind, so I made it a bit wider than I normally do. A lot of letter size envelopes are 4x9, so depending on how much you let your photographs hang over the edge, it should still fit in an envelope. Now, if you let them hang over too much, then you're probably going to need to make an envelope or put it in a bag. There we go. All right, so for my 3 photos, I did want to pop those up. I'm just going to go ahead and turn them over. I'm just going to add a piece of foam tape in the center of each one. Now I'm putting my foam tape towards the center because I want to be able to poke my little ocean pieces underneath the edges, so I didn't want my foam to go all the way to the edges. I'm going to kind of lay them out before I glue them down. I'm thinking, yeah, about like that. And that's another reason I wanted the foam to be more towards the center, because I do want the pictures kind of overlapping there. Whoopsie, ah, dropped it. All right, so now let's just add in our fun seaweed and colorful pieces here that will really tie this all together. And you can kind of see what I mean, like how, oh, look, I used totally different color reds. I didn't notice that. But adding your little ocean pieces just really adds so much to this card. Like it goes from unfinished to finished, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add these, and I'm just kind of adding my glue in the center so that the rest of the pieces can kind of move freely. Whoops, I kind of want that tucked under. There we go. And this piece, same thing. And I'm going to let that kind of curl up on my photograph. Same with that one. Let it go up on the photograph. And this one, just going to kind of tuck it under and then also let it come up on the photograph. And this one. And glue my little star right on top of this one. All right, there we go. I just thought this was a fun way to use this Polaroid die and create a fun shark card in honor of Jaws' 50th anniversary. Can you believe it's been 50 years? Makes me feel so old. Hey, Shauna, hi. My camera blocks my view of the chat now, but I'm so happy to see you. It has been a while. But thanks for tuning in. So if you haven't made any shark cards, do join me for the newsletter video. If you are not already subscribed to Whimsy Stamp's newsletter, do go over to the website and sign up for that, because later this week I'm going to be using the brand new set that was just released, the layered shark, and we're going to create an interactive shark card later this week. But that is a special video that is only sent out as a link to our newsletter subscribers. So if you'd like to join me for that, head on over and get signed up for the newsletter. All right, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to crafting with you again next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.